We love having history makers here on Off the Podium, and we definitely have one of them on the show today. She has competed in 4 Olympic Games in 2 different sports, one of only 4 people in the history of the Olympics to win medals in both long track and short track speed skating. And outside of the Olympics, in a short track career, 41 World Cup medals, 11 medals at the World Championships, and in a long track career, 5 World Cup medals, reached the World Championship podium twice since switching to the sport, a gold medalist from Beijing in long track, as well as a silver medalist in short track from Sochi. There's so much I could add to that introduction, but we've got to get chatting to her, otherwise we're never going to get anything from her. It's a pleasure to welcome to Off the Podium, Valerie Maltais. Valerie, such an honour to have you on the show today.
Hello, bonjour.
Bonjour. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I always need to go that level as well, particularly when Colin, my co-host from Canada, is not here. I sound very Australian often when I come into those introductions there. But did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want me to add, like really good at chess or something like that, that perhaps always gets overlooked from all these introductions?
No, I think it's pretty complete. Thank you very much.
You're completely welcome. But I should also added technically third sport in there as well, because you started off in figure skating. So, I mean, is there anything that you haven't done, Valerie? I mean, you're also a hockey player as well. There seems to be a lot of different ice sports here, but I'd love to learn.
You should add maybe, I actually did the Pan American Championship in inline speed skating also.
You did?
So
yes.
you
Wow.
can do a fourth sport there.
Exactly. I feel like this is just sport bingo all of a sudden. It's kind of like we uncover what sports you've done along the way. I would love to learn the story. How do you get involved in figure skating at a young age and somehow end up winning Olympic medals in 2 different forms of speed skating?
Yeah. I guess my journey is kind of wild, and I think as a kid I just love sport and just love being active. So I started as a figure skater. My mom just brought me into the sport. My parents just learn how to skate, learn your edges. And you mentioned hockey. My dad actually wanted me to be a hockey player after after I learned figure skating. I did 2 years of figure skating, and I loved it. But I really love racing my coach at the end of my practice. So I really, from a young age, I really love, I guess, doing a competition or trying to go fast. And so in 1994, my mom saw speed skating, short track speed skating at the Olympics for the first time being a sport, an official sport at the Olympics. And the club opened in my hometown in La Baie, Saguenay in Quebec. And so I started the short track speed skating, and from then I never touched hockey. I'm really not good at it. I never tried it. And I stick to short track for a very long time. I just love the sport. When I was young, I was going to see my friend. I was just going to have fun. The Olympics didn't even exist in my mind. It was just a really naive way of practicing my sport, and probably healthy way of just no pressure, just have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Which I love that sort of story about how your dad was fighting for you to do hockey and your mum fighting for you to do short track. So, I mean, ultimately your mum wins in that case. Because mums generally always win, right? That's the secret to that.
That's probably why they're divorced now too. So.
Well, hey, they just couldn't decide. Or was that just a case of well, she's doing the wrong sport, I'm out of here. Don't want to bring up childhood traumas here at all, Valerie, but wow, okay. That's sort of how it works.
Probably all my fault.
Yeah, it's always the child's fault, let's be honest. But it's fascinating to kind of learn that you raced your coach. I think there were maybe signs there that that's maybe not the sport for you, because not a lot of racing in figure skating, of course.
No, exactly. And I guess it was inside of me, and I still love it very much. And that's what I find in long track speed skating still up to this day of it's a different sport, different challenge, but it's still trying to be the fastest.
You mentioned joining a club. I mean, sort of at that age and that period in short track there in Quebec, were there many clubs? I mean, you said the Olympics, obviously it made its official debut. Did it sort of take off more after it was at the Olympics?
Yeah, after when it started at the Olympics, there was actually a lot of short tracker from my hometown, from my region, I should say, in the area where I grew up. So in this area, there was like many club in small towns that from the age of in Quebec actually like short track is very popular and was really popular. A lot of speed skater and a lot of really good athlete that push you, I think, to be good and push you to be better. And when I was 12, actually, this is where we kind of like all mixed up, uh, meeting like every week, like 3 to 4 times a week, of where I could like really in not just like staying in my home club, but like being with the people from my region, like really pushing ourselves. Like I was 12 years old, but I started training with 17 years old who were the elite in the sport also in Quebec. So I
Wow.
think that really helped me. And I think having like Olympian in 1994, 1990, 92, like in this time, I think it really inspired and motivate like our region, I guess, like to really have a good system of training and coaching to develop a young speed skater.
It's a great point you make there because, yeah, the unique thing about that period was we had two Olympics in 2 years for winter, of course, when they switched the cycle, and massive growth for the Winter Olympics in terms of the new sports. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
obviously your own short track, freestyle skiing gets introduced. 4 years later in Nagano, you get snowboarding and curling added, and sort of it's only ever grown from there. So, such a transitional period and a growth period for the Winter Olympics, which is great to hear. It has that impact on young athletes like yourself who are seeing this, and the IOC probably listen to this and go, "Cool, well that worked. That's what we wanted to achieve."
Mm-hmm. And I guess it inspired like at that moment it probably inspired more my parents than me, because like I was like in 1994, like I didn't watch the Olympic. I was like 4 years old, so obviously like I don't get to do much decision at that age and just like you're gonna go speed skating, you're gonna do figure skating. I guess it's like okay, but
All right, sure.
yeah, all right.
Might have
I
thanked them a
cried
few bits
actually.
over the years, possibly, since it's kind of worked out, maybe. So,
Yeah, actually, I cried to not go on the ice for my first practice in short track, but
wow.
also cried to not come off because it was just an instant like, oh, I love it. Never mind.
That's a nice balance. I like that. Yeah, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I'm like, no, don't take me off. That's fantastic. Wow. Do you still
Yeah,
do that? Do you still do that when you leave the ice? Like a Beijing where you're crying when you had to get off the ice?
I cried a lot actually in Beijing on the ice, but no, no,
Not
I'm all
quite the
good.
same. Which
Yeah, not quite the same.
outside of the skating sports, were you active in many other sports? Say like summer sports, anything else that you sort of did as a child?
Yeah. So when we do short track, the season is usually like well when you're younger, it's like usually like 9 months a year, and so I did the soccer quite a bit. Didn't really like it. I think it's just like I needed to run, and I was again like going with my friends, but I don't think I was like particularly like enjoying it so much. It was just like, oh, I'm here like during the summer, like for 2 months with my friends, and I did also swimming. I did the javelin. I did running, um, and I wish I've done diving. I think it's a summer sport that I maybe would have loved to do a little bit more. But instead, I did also some swimming competition. Finished last. Really enjoy swimming. Maybe not the greatest swimmer, but I
You
still will
tried.
go to the swimming pool and just like enjoy it. And
Yeah, you
I,
tried. That's the main thing, right?
yeah, and I think like that's an important message. Like I think like as an Olympian, we always talk about like the performance side, but also like I think it's important to practice a sport just because you enjoy it. Like it's just like I'm doing it for me, and it doesn't always have to be competitive, I guess.
I mean, the journeys that we get from so many of our guests who do try their hands at many different sports. Obviously, there are a lot that correlate with each other. You can kind of take that connection from, but no, there are some obviously where, yeah, you think to yourself, well, how does that connect? But as you say, you have fun doing it, which every kid who grows up to be an Olympian is competitive on some level, right? And you're always trying your hand at 100 different sports. I mean, gosh, if I was good at any of the sports I played, I'd be a 20-time Olympian in 20 different sports, Valerie. But here I am hosting a podcast about it. So it clearly didn't quite work out for me. So, we've got to try, right? And we're enjoying it as a kid.
Yeah. And also did cycling, road cycling and mountain biking.
Now I can see the cycling aspect with the speed skating.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about the legs there, right? We get a little bit of a transfer over with that. Which it's when you're doing the short track. Did you ever try your hand at long track as a child?
I tried once on my short track, but being from Quebec, there was no long track oval except in Quebec City where I live now, and it was outdoor rink. I'm doing a joke. I'm always making the joke that I'm allergic to cold, which recently I learned that allergy to cold exists. It's true. Oh, wow. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm sorry for
it's
everyone
a real
who
condition.
Okay, to cold.
Right.
It's a real condition. Wow. So I don't like cold. So I never really wanted to try a long track because of that. But that's the main reason.
The main reason, wow. Which, I mean, again, Quebec, winter, not a pleasant time to be outside. So I can probably see where that comes from. Which it's fascinating because, I mean, obviously jumping ahead a little bit to your long track career, but is this something that is then common that short track skaters who maybe don't have a lot of background in it do make that switch versus, say, some short track skaters who maybe had a bit of a background who are like, well, I'll come back to this again one day?
It's common to see short tracker going to long track. I think from being a small oval to a bigger one. But we're never seeing like people transferring over from long track and doing short track if they ever tried short track previously. I think it's kind of I think like short track is really a technical sport, and it's really like the corners are really sharp and it's a lot of pressure in your leg, and you really need to have a good base of technique that it's easier to apply from short track to long track, or then vice versa, I guess.
So we're not going to see Irene all of a sudden switching now that she's retired with all the gold medals and everything from the Netherlands to switch into short track. She's not all of a sudden going to like, hey, surprise everyone, Milan, I'm doing short track.
Well, I would love to see it. But I think she should stay in long track. Like, she's amazing in long track. So I think, I think like if she still have fun, I think stay in long track.
Yeah, fascinating to hear that and kind of go. Is there much rivalry, like in terms of the youth programs? Like, do you have long track scouts coming to a short track rink and going, hey, Valerie, come on, you're good at this. You'll be better at long track. Come over. The grass is greener over here.
I think I always had the conversation with people. I think I really loved short track for the whole time that I did it. But I think it's a little bit of a harder sport in terms of you're always racing against other people, like really on the track. There's all like the falls, the disqualification, and all the passes that happen. I think that's what makes the sport beautiful, but at the same time, that's what makes the sport hard. And so obviously, like, because I spent like 22 years in short track, obviously, like, I had the conversation with other people, like, how is it? And because I've seen skater from the national team going from short track to long track, and I have some friend who did it. And I think it's not a rivalry. I think it's just like two different sports that it's more like, hey, if you feel like it, you should come and try it because it's just like different. And for me, when I transitioned, I still had success in short track, but it was just like, you know what? I feel that I've done what I needed to do in short track. Kind of, I felt that I was feeling that I was not gonna get better. Like, I was just like, I think I've reached my peak in short track, and I kind of was done. But at the same time, I had this other side of me where I still wanted to train and push myself hard, and long track was really a good opportunity to keep skating in a different way. Now racing against the clock. And I'm 32 years old now, but when I switch at 28, it's 22 years of short track. It's also rough on the body. And so a long track is a little bit nicer also. It's a little bit more gentle.
And you obviously didn't keep up with the swimming to switch to swimming, unfortunately. So, that wasn't an
No,
option.
I think like my glutes are too heavy, so I'm gonna sink
Possibly.
right at the bottom.
straight to the bottom. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fascinating to sort of hear that to a switch. And, any athlete who was able to switch focus to a different sport is absolutely insane. We're massive fans on this show of the great Esther Ledetchka, of course, from snowboard over to skiing and winning those medals in the Olympics. But I always admire any athlete who can kind of completely switch that focus, because even though the similarities between short track and long track are obviously there, I can imagine that you train completely differently for both of them.
Yeah, it's I thought myself that short track and long track were much more similar than they are, in a sense that, like, first, the track is completely different, the skate is different. Yes, you still have a long blade, but now you have a clap system under your skate and under your boot. And up to this day, I'm still like going. Oh shoot, that's right. I have a clap skate under me, and it's different. And now I'm skating. I'm skating also for. I'm training for mid to long distance. In long track, so I'm doing a lot more biking. I'm like 60% of my training is on the bike mostly.
Wow.
And otherwise I'm in the gym. I'm like 3 to 4 times on the ice per week, compared to short track where I was like twice a day on the ice, like almost like 5 days a week, and I was doing a little bit of weights and other stuff. But so the training is quite different, but just like technically is different. Like racing also, like in long track, you really need to push your limit. Like you have one shot of like, okay, you're doing a 3K and like you need to do your best performance now, compared to short track where you're just like trying to cross the line first. And yes, so you're exhausted when you cross the line, but it's rarely like a really like 100% effort. Like it's mostly like there's so many aspects of like technical, tactical that is there that it's different.
Does it help when you get to a mass start event in long track having a short track background? Can you use tactics that you used to use in short track in a mass start in long track?
Again, I was thinking that yes, but other than I'm really comfortable being around people, I think that's where is the advantage of being around people, touching people, getting touch also, and like just like having like someone rubbing your shoulder like in the corner. I find myself really comfortable compared to people who never did short track. Other than that, the strategy is really different because you're on a 100-meter track compared to a 400-meter track. So the acceleration, everything is like where you take your speed is all different.
In terms of technology, like you mentioning the skate differential, what about like the suits? I mean, streamline aerodynamically, is it different for, say, a long track suit, given you obviously got a much larger course versus that short track where you're racing in tight quarters and it's a lot different? I mean, is there much differences in the suits?
Yeah, the suits are really different. There's a lot more protection in short track compared to long track. Now, like the suit in short track is 100% Kevlar or like a cut resistant like material. I don't think it's Kevlar anymore. It's something else, but and you have like the knee pad and you have the gloves, the helmet, glasses. When you race in long track, you have a really thin suit that it's really like a millimeter like thick. Like it's really thin. So you feel like almost like you're naked and you're cold.
I was going to say,
like
do you feel switching over? You must feel naked, losing everything to just have this thin piece of metal. That must feel weird.
Yeah. Plus, like it's like we have the same descent, the the brand who's making the skin suit, so we can really compare like with the technology who's supposed to be the same, but in also in long track we have the event with in the team pursuit and in the mass start. Now we need to wear a helmet, we need to wear the protection. Also we have a cut proof, cut resistant protection inside our suit. We need to wear the gloves, but it's much more thinner than what we find in short track. When we compare the suit, like it's really lighter. So yeah, the material, the equipment is different, and the technology also. I would bet there's a little bit more in long track because aerodynamic is a lot more taken into consideration compared to short track.
It's always fascinating to just hear just the little things, and as you say, you think they're going to be very similar, but obviously there's big differences, particularly at the elite level, and when you're doing that. So interesting to hear that. Obviously, I want to talk about your Olympic experiences and your journeys. One aspect that I'd love to learn a little bit more, we always love finding out, particularly from our Canadian guests, the experiences that a Canada Games can bring you as an athlete, because ultimately as a winter athlete, you don't have as many opportunities for multi-sport events as, say, some of your summer counterparts. I believe you went to the 2007 Canada Winter Games, won 4 medals for Quebec. What was that experience like, and do you see that as a nice training ground for your future Olympic experiences, experiencing a multi-sport event such as that?
Yeah, we often say that the Canada Game is like the small Olympics, and a lot of the whole team that I went to at the Canada Game, for men and women, we all ended up like the year after or the few years after for some on the national team. We were all like that group that went there ended up like on the national team and competing for some at the World Cups and at the Olympics. I think this event, this competition, it's similar to a smaller scale to the Olympics, because like you have like every team, you're meeting other sport, you have like you're wearing your flag and you're just like proud of where you're from, and so it's really fun. It's a wide opening like experience, because you get to learn about different sport that usually you don't really see them other than just like on the newspaper.
Quebec won the medal tally, I believe, at those games. Explain to maybe our non-Canadian listeners that rivalry between Quebec and Ontario, because is that just the goal when you go to a games like that? Beat Ontario, screw those guys, we're coming out on top.
Now I'm engaged to an Ontarian.
No, he's not listening, it's fine. Tell him to skip this part.
No, there's a good rivalry. I think it's fun because I think like as when you're young, like I think it makes you like it brings like that feeling of being proud of where you're from. You're wearing your flag, like I said, and I think like we were going to those competitions, like when you represent Quebec, like you want to be better than the Ontarian, and why? I think they just don't speak the same language, and I think like we
might need a history lesson here for our non-Canadians, right? The history. Why do Quebec hate those people? Here for a while.
And I think also like because they are good, they develop also good athletes. But I think like Quebec also have a really good system of like we're always close in the medal count of like I need to be delicate in what I'm saying here.
We don't want you getting you deported from, if you're moving to Ontario anytime soon.
No, I think it was back in the days. It's always like a big like competition between Ontario, but like I won my medal with 2 Ontarian, like it's like now it's like we're Canada. Like it's not.
You've got the leaf on your shirt, on your uniform. That's
exactly.
that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. But it's such a great idea, the Canada Games. It really is. And I mean, when I lived in Canada, I lived in BC, and sort of then you learnt that each province, of course, has their own provincial games as well. Like it's just, a great idea, which, I mean, in Australia, sadly, we don't do something like that. The state I'm from, we'd always come dead last, but hey, we'd win one medal and we'd celebrate it like it's the end of the world, which is fantastic. But it's just, yeah, to get that experience, to have a team sense representing your province, just, I can't imagine just the effect that has on you, particularly as you're saying, you then go on to make a national team, you're kind of bonding and everything. Like, what an experience to have at such a young age.
Yeah, and I think like as you're saying it, like I think we don't realize the opportunity and the chance that we have of doing those competition to have enough of a big country of like different province where we can do and create a competition where athletes from a young age, you don't need to wait at the national championship to make the team. You're going like from when you're really young, and you can do competition. And there's a Canada game, but when I was 12 years old, I did my first Canadian championship where I was representing Quebec, and I was like there meeting for my sport. It was not like a multi-sport competition, but it was just like for speed skating. So like from 12, like just like traveling around Canada and just like doing Canadian championship once a year. I think it's also a great opportunity to meet other athletes and have some good challenges to try to be the fastest.
And let's be honest, Quebec has the best flag in Canada, right? Outside of the national flag, of course. The provincial flags, Quebec flag, pretty nice flag. So there's that as well.
Thank you.
See that, seen that being raised. I just have to suck up to anybody who's from a province that has poutine. It's the greatest thing ever invented. So, you know, there's always that to come with it. Your first Olympics, what an Olympics to make your debut in Vancouver, home Olympics. Do you remember that moment when you got the official nod, you'd qualified, you were going to an Olympic Games, and it just happened to be in your home country?
Yeah, it was everything happened so fast for Vancouver. I only made 2 World Cups before the Olympic trial for Vancouver, so I was not really expecting to qualify for those games. I think I was just like going into the competition. It's a competition that is over 2 weeks, and you're doing the 500 meter, the 1,000 meter, and the 1,500 meter 3 times. So it's 3 competition basically, and like, so it's really intense. And when I finished the competition, I think I was sixth, and so it was a discretionary position. So basically, it's a group of people from the organization who's going to meet together and decide who's going to go. And so on that night, the competition finished on the Sunday. On Sunday night, I was taking a flight because I had to be in school on the Monday because
Wow.
I was still I was still a student. So I'm still up to this day, but I had like school on Monday. So it's like I'm taking a flight from Vancouver to Montreal to go back to school. And as I landed in Montreal, I had a voicemail from my coach saying that congratulations, you've been picked up for the Vancouver Olympics. And I just
Wow.
screamed on the plane, and I just like, I couldn't believe it. I was alone with another teammate who was also going to school, and I was just like, wow, like
That's
kind of like
insane.
not realizing it, like didn't expect it almost, like, yeah.
And how far away from the Olympics was that?
That was in August, and the games are August 2009, and the games are in
This is in
February.
February, yeah. Because it's always
Yeah,
crazy, as we always say with our winter athletes, that sometimes you don't find out until like 2 weeks before a game. So you had a bit more of a period there, so you can, Christmas
yeah.
time. I mean, do you save that to your family and wait till like Christmas dinner or something like that? Hey, what are you guys doing in February? Want to come to Vancouver? Might know something that's going on there.
Yeah, in short track, I think we have like the great. I think it's great actually that you know your team like in advance, so it's your Olympic team who's going to the World Cup and qualify the spot for the Olympics. So it's much more different than what we have in long track, where you find out your team. And officially this year, we found our team like January 17, I think, something like that.
Wow, crazy.
So like for some, like it's a little bit more like they know because there's some criteria from World Cups and stuff, but officially, like, so it was like really last minute, a total different experience than what I had like in in short track.
Which obviously all your Olympics, I'm sure you had a very different journey in terms of the qualifying. But for that first one, you find out in August, you've still obviously got a season you've got to compete in before you get to Vancouver. Is there a
Yeah.
mixed bag there of the pressure's off, I know I'm going, versus, oh shit, I don't want to get injured? I mean, I'm sure you think that often when you're competing, but like, you don't want something to happen to you in that period that might take that away.
Yeah, I think I think as an athlete, you cannot really allow yourself to think that way. I think because we need to be performant at the World Cup. We need to qualify our country to have the spot at the Olympics. So I think from a young age, we just learn, I guess, to just compete. If you made it to the Olympic trial and you qualify, you obviously did some good things before. So just keep doing those things and don't overthink it. And but I think that for me, like, I think I was seeing it that way, but I was also like, I was 19. I was just like freshly 19 when I qualified. So I think for my first Olympic, at least, like, my experience where I learned a lot is that as soon as I got the call that I was qualified, for me in my head, and which was a big mistake, I thought I was going to end up on the podium, because in the history of short track speed skating, the relay for the women always won a medal at the Olympics. So it's like, oh, I'm on the national team. I'm on the Olympic team for Vancouver. I'm going to win a medal. So I kind of like, I would say, unfortunately, I kind of laid back. I was just like, I got this. But this is, we all know, and I know very well now, at least, that it's not the case. And it's never the case, I think.
So how does that situation work then? So in terms of selection for the relay, do they base that on your performances at the Olympics, or did they go into Vancouver knowing who would be on that relay team already?
They practice the team like a lot in training, but also what you do in competition. And at every event in World Cup, but also at the Olympics, there's the semifinal and the final. And so with 5 women who's going to the Olympics and also at the World Cups, but it's only 4 skater at a time. So there's always like a substitute. How do you say that? Like
Yeah, like an alternate substitute.
an
Yeah.
alternate. Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
And so I was expecting, because I was the 5th best on the team, I was like, oh, if I do the semifinal, it's good enough. Like the girls would do the rest in the final. Like, like, I'm really kind of ashamed now to say that, but it's like, that's how I was thinking. It's like,
Yeah.
it will be good enough when, like, I'll be in the semifinal. My plan was like already like kind of like too clear. So it's all discretionary how the coaches will decide who's going to be on the team and who's going to skate what and where. And on the Canadian team, at least, we know, even I think the coach know always in advance a little bit, but they were always telling us 20 minutes before the start of the race who's going to be on the line. So every skater, every athlete need to be ready to race 20 minutes before, and just like hope they will be put on the line. And obviously for me in Vancouver, my story is that I was not part of the team in the semifinal and the final. The girl won the silver medal and I didn't. I didn't because my first reaction is that I was mad. Like, I was mad at my coach and I was mad at everyone, thinking that it was everyone's fault. But quickly I realized that this is like the fault was mine. And I think it was a good lesson and a good life lesson of like, never take anything for granted and just like work for what you want. And I think I had the conversation like years later with my coach after, and I was almost like thanking him of just like, you teach me something really important there, that it was tough. And up to this day, like, whether you want it or not, like it's a medal at the Olympics that I didn't win because I was my expectation were just like, I'm going to win a medal like 6 months before the Olympics. It's like, nobody does that, or at least don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you can obviously you can be like, you can say like, I'm able to be on the podium, I want to win a medal, but like, you need to keep working up to the day before of your event. Like, it's never win in advance.
Which obviously all of that situation and then what your coach taught you and everything must have paid off, because 4 years later you are on that podium with a silver medal around your neck. I mean, I can
Yeah.
imagine it's, again, a double-edged sword. You go into that wanting to win gold, of course you do. But is there part of you that, I'm an Olympic medalist, this is amazing. Yeah, I want a gold, but I've still got a medal around my neck at an Olympic Games, and soaking in that experience?
Are you talking about Sochi or
Yes, in
compare?
Sochi in 2014.
Yeah. Um, like when I came back from the game in Vancouver, I made a big promise to myself, and um, that for Sochi, for the games in 4 years, I would not give my coach the choice of putting me on the ice or not. It's like, I'll be an obvious choice. And it was a big motivation for me to just like do everything in my power to prove that I would be enough to be on that starting line. And not only I was enough, but also I was also the finisher in that relay in Sochi. So I crossed the line, winning that medal, and like having the pressure of like, don't fall. But it was a pressure that I was ready to handle, and we were a great team, like of girls that worked together to get there. And I was with actually three girls um, who were from my hometown, like my home region. So we were all like training together when we were younger. So it was a great experience to, and a great, again, like lesson of just like when you promise something to yourself, like it's, and you put the work into something that you want so bad, um, it pays off, and it pays off the way that we wanted. Like, I think that medal, like, uh, whatever the color, I think like it was just like, I was just happy that we were on the podium, because we built a team that 4 years ago was not that was completely different, because after Vancouver in 2010, there was a lot of girls who older skater who retired after Vancouver. So it was a big build up that we needed to do.
It, I just, as you're saying, any color, an amazing achievement. And I guess kind of going back to when you were saying you got into the sport not really watching the Olympics because you were that young to kind of get to that ultimate level. I mean, does your mum at that point ring you up and go, told you so? I mean, this is the right choice for me to make for you as a kid, and your dad on the other line going, damn it. Well, if you had played hockey, you would have been winning a gold here in Sochi.
Fun fact, actually, my dad told me that he wanted me to be a hockey player. He told me only like 4 years ago or something. Like, it's just
So
like
you
when I
didn't
switch
know.
over to long track. Yeah, I didn't know that fact. I was just like, wow, you never told me that. Um, but I think from a young age, my parents saw that I had potential in short track. Um, like people were, I know that I'm aware that people around me were saying like, oh, Valerie's gonna go to the Olympics one day. My coach was just saying it, but because I was winning a lot of medal when I was young. But again, I think I was just always trying to be better, like not sitting on my success. I was just like, my dad always told me, like, keep working. People are working harder behind you to try to be faster than you. So I like to chase people, but being chased also was a challenge that I didn't want the others like to chase me too quick.
Fascinating, fascinating. I got to say about Sochi though too. We did a episode a while back where we ranked the Olympic medals. We are that show, Valerie. We're that Olympic geeks, and my number one Olympic medal of all time was Sochi. I thought that was an amazing looking medal with sort of that crystal little section in the middle of it and kind of everything along those lines. I mean, obviously, Beijing's a gold. You're going to probably like the color a little bit better, but do you like the Sochi one a little bit better because it was your first and it just looks a little bit nicer?
Um, yeah, I think like your first is always special, and I think every medal is special. But yeah, the one in Sochi was actually like a good, beautiful looking medal, and I don't want to I don't want to say like don't quote me too hard on this, but I think the middle of the Sochi medal is dust from like a lunar experience or something that the Russian
Wow.
did and
I
brought
didn't know
back
that.
that. And I think it's like I think someone told me that, but we would
Wow.
need to
Makes it a
check
little
that
bit more
fact. Just
special then. Okay. I
yeah.
mean, back in 2014 when we were allowed to talk about Russia, of course, but yeah, wow, that's because I know with Vancouver how the story behind their medals is sort of like the shape of the contours of the land and how you can basically put them all together like a giant jigsaw puzzle. And I love that when they sort of do something unique with the medals. And the Winter Olympics always have more unique medals. I mean, the Summer Olympic medals, great medals, but they're always just kind of, it's a medal. Whereas I'm thinking Turin, where it was a donut. Sochi, where you've got the crystal bit in the middle of it. You know, Beijing, you've got sort of those weird, like, contour, like, it's just, there's always a level to the winter medal designs that trumps the summer ones. I feel like I'm shitting all over our Summer Olympians on the show, but stuff it. Today we can. Winter Olympians are better.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all right. I'll slip that money under the table to kind of go
I
into that
have
level with that.
nothing to add to that. It's let's go with it.
All right, we'll go with it. Which, I mean, outside of obviously the relay and sort of through Vancouver, Sochi, and Pyeongchang, in terms of the individual events, do you go into each of those Olympics? Obviously, you got a mindset, I want to be on the podium, as you were mentioning before, but do you sort of
Yeah.
go in with a goal and did you leave each of your short track Olympics and the individual ones sort of reflecting on potential there that maybe didn't quite happen?
I came really close in Sochi actually to win a medal individually in the 1,000 meter. In the 1,000 meter event, I did the Olympic record that hold until 2018. No, it got beaten this year in 2022 actually. So I set an Olympic record, and so in the qualifying round and in the semifinal, I was second, which I was gonna go in the final, but something happened. You know, like when you see your life go slow, I was like, and I had the thought, don't fall. I clicked my skate by myself together, and I fell in that last corner,
Ouch.
and I didn't make it to the final. I think I strongly believe that I would have been on the podium in that event if that didn't happen. It was hard on the moment, but I think it's short track. I think that's
Yeah.
that's what it is, and it's nobody's fault. It's really me who like clicked my skate, and that was my mistake, I guess. And but in every event that I went to in Sochi, I would say is my best performance Olympic. Where I finished sixth in the 1,000 meter where I fell. I finished sixth also in the 1,500 meter, and I finished ninth in the 500 meter. But in mostly the 1,500 meter and the 1,000 meter, this is where I had a chance. I had a shot to win a medal. I didn't, but it was like all great races. And unfortunately, in the Pyeongchang in 2018. I was doing great, like in World Cups, I was winning medal. And I would say that I arrived probably at my peak of my career there. On the first day of arriving in Pyeongchang, the site were not completely, for the training site was not completely done. They needed to put like some pads over like some edges. And I was just looking around and like just trying to find like what's the way to go on the other side of the oval. And unfortunately I rolled my ankle and I had a pretty bad sprain, so I ended up skating at the games. I skated the final in the relay where we finished third, but often unfortunately got disqualified. And I skated my 1,000 meter and my 1,500 meter. Also got disqualified in every event. So basically, Pyeongchang, I got disqualified in every event.
Pyeongchang
But
sucked, is what you're saying.
it was tough. It was a tough Olympics, and I always try to see the positive and just like take what good was, what was good from these games, and just like try to move on, like live the emotion, but also like try to move on as fast as possible. I mean, like that's the way that I'm trying to live.
So with the disqualification, though, what happened there? And can you protest in short track? Because it always seems to be a sport where they're like, boom, penalty, you're out, done, suck it up, it's short track. I mean, are there appeal sections you can do?
I know there was an appeal for the relay because it was not a written rule why we got disqualified, but it was a written rule the season after. So basically, it's because we fell in that relay, and a lot of team fell, and so we were a lap behind, and we were doing an exchange, and the finish happened between the Korean and the Chinese, and they considered that our Canadian was too close from the finish line in the inside, and they said that it could have affected the result of the race.
Could have.
Which was
so
kind of
not
like,
even
oh my
not
God,
even a did, a could have. Wow.
yeah.
Jeez.
And like, we don't believe it would have changed anything. So it was just,
you can
like,
say it, Val, it's bullshit. You can say it. It's bullshit.
yeah, it was bullshit.
You're not in short track
And now
anymore.
they
You don't need to
painted
worry
a
about them.
Now they painted a line in the middle of the oval of the rink where that the skater is going to take an exchange that cannot cross.
Wow.
So it's like super
Jeez.
specific, like super clear. Yeah.
Because China got disqualified too, right? So the Dutch won the bronze by winning the B final, which I've always questioned. What the hell is the point of a B final? But I mean, is that the point of a B final? If everybody gets disqualified, they win the medals.
They won the medal. Yeah, that was a hard one. That was hard to digest. And I mean, in a sense, like if you're like, I'm a fair play like skater. Like I'm not trying to say bad things about other team. I think like sport is sport, but I think like the Dutch, as hard as it is like to say, because I was like in that final, the Dutch actually like skated the Olympic record. Like they were the fastest in that competition. So good on them. Like I think like in that sense, like they did earn that medal.
Well, 4 years later, it's a bit of a different story. We can talk a little bit more positively now. Of course, that's when the switch came to long track. Ultimately, you go on to win a gold medal, which, I mean, it's just insane to think that through everything you were talking about before, the differences, the training, to get from that point to another Olympics in a different sport, winning a gold medal. I always love hearing that moment of crossing the line, realizing you've won the gold. Obviously, it's in short track, you're battling the clock, so it's there. But can you put that into words now that it's been a few months since you won that gold? Or are you still digesting that moment when you took the gold medal in Beijing?
That gold in Beijing is really like I feel that it's like I feel that it's almost like a redemption of like, or of my journey a little bit of like, I always like chased the success in short track. Like I won gold medals in short track, but like they're so hard to get because you're doing so many races. And we often says about me that I have like gold medal habit, but it's always like yeah, that's good that you have that, but you still don't have a gold medal, you know? Like it's like in a sense it's beautiful to have that, but you need to have the hardware around your neck. And I think that's the feeling that I had in short track, that I was doing all the right things, like in my thinking and the position and the quality that I have, like, and I feel that at some point it's like, okay, I think I've reached my potential, and like that's why I switch. And when I changed over to long track, yeah, I was just like trying to be the best athlete as possible. And just like, even though I have all the background, I was just like, I'm here to learn. I didn't know where was the starting line. I didn't know what was like, where's the finish? Like, teach me long track speed skating. And it was an amazing like experience to just like looking back, like obviously I had my challenges and my doubt and just like, what am I doing here? But it was like a great like learning about me as an athlete, but also as a person of like, I didn't know if I would be successful in long track. So like, it was important for me to define who am I outside of the sport, because the only thing that I did is for 25 years skating is in circle. Like, what am I outside of the sport? And what if like next year I'm not skating, like what I'm gonna do? So on that side also I had to learn a lot, and it was a process that made me skate just like more freely. And um, building a team again, like in the team pursuit, I think I had the opportunity to skate with other girls that we get to know each other, and like me bringing what I knew from short track, how do we get better together? But at the same time, the only person that you can control is you. And so when we crossed the line in Beijing, it was just like a mix of emotion. Like I was just like, I want to go to Beijing and with the feeling that I've done everything in my position to just like do the best performance. Whether it's, we knew we could win gold, but like, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's just, and with COVID, it added like an extra like thing of like staying healthy. And I just didn't want to have any regrets. So whatever happened, it's a gold, it's a silver, it's a bronze. If we did the best we had, if we gave the best we had, what can we do? Like, we were not the fastest on that day. And having that, like, when we crossed the line, you always have also the feeling in a race of just like, because we're not racing against like the other team on the other side, you just need to be the fastest. And me, I'm behind Isabel, who's 6'2", so I'm just like in her butt, and just like the only thing that I see is just like her bum, my hand, and just like we push. And I don't know where we are. And when we cross the line, it's just like I push the hardest, like every corner as hard as I can, and just like there's no comfort zone.
Particularly when you're in someone's butt.
It's a pretty good looking one. Like,
well, hey, I mean,
there's
a positive, right? If you've got a good looking butt in front of you and you're about to win Olympic gold, you can't complain. But not many sports you're at an Olympics and you're happy that you're in someone's butt. So, okay.
Yeah. And when we cross the line, I'm going to finish my story at some point. Isabel looked at me and she just said, "We won." And like from there, it was just like a tons of emotion. Like when I said that I cried a lot in Beijing, it's like at the end of the night, I felt dehydrated because I cried so much. Like it was just like
wow,
an emotional night of just like not only winning gold, because I feel that 4 years ago, I never expected to win gold in long track speed skating. For me, it was just like, I'm just going to go try it and see where it goes. And but it was just like the whole like journey of like developing myself and trying to be the best, my best self, like as an athlete, and bring everything that I know, but also sharing it, accepting also like the critique, like how to get better, try to fix like the old habit from short track. Is just like a lot of process of like being humble and like push your ego on the side and just like tell me what to do and I'll just do it without questioning it. And so it was like I'm really proud of my transition. I think it was the most important part of my career, because and probably like up to this day, like in my life, of just like learning so much and just like proving myself so much of what I can do.
What an incredible story. And it's just, I mean, even you saying that 4 years prior, you could have never imagined that that's where you would be. And I also just want to point out the semi final, you beat the Dutch, you beat Irene Wust. I mean, that's like if you switch to tennis tomorrow and you beat Serena Williams in a semi final. Like, I mean, that's just insane that you can go out of your way to beat the GOAT. Does that add a little bit of extra weight to that gold medal? That's you didn't beat them in the final, but you still knocked them out on the way to that gold medal.
Yeah, I would say that it's like obviously yes, I was and we were like really proud to to beat Irene, but I mean like it's also like it's a team, like it's a team effort, and I think like as for us, we did work a lot into the team pursuit of like we have three different skater, Isabelle, Evgeny, and I, and where we're all like we have like different strength and weaknesses that we really work together to how do we develop a strategy for us that will work for us. And I think at the games we had like a strategy that we were the only one doing, and like we did mistakes. Like I think our race was not perfect, but I think like we proved that we can have like a foot difference in like the height of skater. And because I'm mentioning that because like so many like journalists ask us that question. It's just like and nowadays like we're talking so much about like the accepting your body and like accepting like the way you are, and I think like we're proving it of just like you don't need to be all the same shape to be performing. Like if you find like your way of like working, you can be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy to think. Questions that just trend, right? Over little trivial things as well. It's sort of, this isn't exactly something you've gone out of your way to do. Well, I want to be shorter than someone. Like that doesn't quite work that way, kind of how that
Mm-hmm.
works. So absolutely incredible. With your medal win, as I said at the very, very top, one of only 4 Olympians to win medals in both the short and long track. And I believe Ruslan did it as well in Beijing, so joined you there. So you're the first Canadian to do it, which is insane. So more people have walked on the moon than have won medals in both short track and long track at the Olympic Games. So you can use that maybe in your sort of motivational speaking or whatever you do, futuring. So that more people have walked on the moon than what I have done and achieved at the Olympic Games.
I've never seen it that way. Wow.
Yeah, which I mean, you obviously don't go into long track to set a record like that, but it must mean a lot to know that this is a very rare club that people have won medals in both short and long track.
Yeah, I didn't know that fact before going to the Olympics, and I think like if you ask every Olympian like, why are you doing the sport, and I don't think that any of them will tell you it's for the record or it's for the special mention that you'll get at the end of your career. I think most of it is just like part of the journey, and obviously it make it like a little extra, like a special, like it's all like cherry on top for sure of just like being a little bit more special. I feel that I said a lot special. But.
Yeah, well, I definitely think you should. That is very much there. We're going to wrap up with a set of fun get-to-know-yourself questions in just a moment, Valerie. Just a couple of things I want to touch on. I'm sure you get asked this 1,000 times since the Olympics, but is there a 5-time Olympian in you? Are you going to Milan? I mean, kind of what's the journey now between now and 2026?
I'm going to tell you probably the classic answer of like I'm going 1 year at a time. But there's a part of me that, yes, I think it's possible.
Which I read between the lines. You're going to listen to your dad, and by 2026, you're going to be lining up alongside Natalie Spooner and the girls, and you're going to be winning gold for Team Canada hockey to fulfill this rare distinction of winning 3 different sports. Like, I mean, that's what you're
no
saying.
Chance. No chance.
Not quite going that way. The one that I also wanted to mention too, Canada.
Maybe I'll be a diver.
Hey, well, there you go. You got a little bit less time to Paris, but maybe LA or Brisbane 2032. Come to Australia and compete
Yeah,
in that.
I could
You'll
do
be
a
40
Summer
by then.
Olympics.
That's fine. You know, plenty of
No,
time.
I need kids.
Plenty of mothers win gold medals at the Olympics, Valerie. Come on. We mentioned at the top, and I wanted to quickly ask you about this inline skating you did at the Pan Ams in 2015. So speed inline skating. I'm always fascinated about the roller sports. The more and more speed skaters we get on this show, and the more I learn about roller sports, I want to see it at the Olympics. But can you give us a brief sort of, memories of Toronto 2015, home country in inline speed skating?
Yeah, it was it was a really different experience, and I think like I got there my little Summer Olympics experience, where I met like a lot of different sport. Summer athlete have different habit than the winter athlete, and just like first is just like you're wearing shorts and like people are you're really like less layers of of clothes. And I always felt after every Olympic experience, like after every Olympic cycle, to do something a little bit different, because you get so much into like your focus, and like as the game arrive, like you're really like more focused, and like you close your eyes and just like focus on the one thing. And to start an Olympic cycle, I always like to just do something else for fun, and just like it's it's the first summer that now after the Olympics that I'm training like full time into my sport. And this is after 2014. This is how I picked up inline speed skating, and the the Pan Am Games were in Toronto at home. So I was just like, yeah, I think I would like to try to qualify for that and have a different experience. I think inline speed skating, short track speed skating, it's similar enough. Like, so it was like a good it was a good like way to train differently. And I was not going to win any medals there, but it was just like really enjoying the experience and train in a different way, and just like, yeah, enjoy a different experience, I guess.
Which I'm calling this now. You are switching sports into diving or hockey, because this is what you do after every Olympics. You know, Sochi you switch to inline speed skating. Pyeongchang you switch to long track. I mean, this is just what you do, Valerie. So you know.
Maybe I'm training in something else. I cannot
we don't get the
yet.
exclusive today. You're not quite ready to announce it. It's fine. We'll try and get it out of you by the end. The other thing I want to touch on too, we mentioned this off air, and for our video audience right now, the mascots behind you. So you collect these at different events. I can see Bing Duen Duen, of course, but so
Yep.
where did this idea come about? Was it just you go to your first multi-sport event, go cool, gonna get a mascot, and the trend just kind of kept going from there?
No, I actually like I have it's my fiance who was also an Olympian who was keeping all of the mascot, and I guess like as a team we just like kept them. I gave a few to my godson, the one from Vancouver, and I have Pyeongchang. I don't have Sochi there either.
Well, you got Bing Duen. That's
yeah.
the main thing, because they sold like hotcakes, right? So did you get that before they all sold out?
Yeah, we got it like the
Smart.
first day that we arrived at the Olympics, and we didn't know it would go crazy for them. But
Yeah. Well, you got the better
I
one though.
didn't
You got
get
the
it off
medal
like the
winning
black
one.
market. Yeah, it's upstairs.
You did. Which also, actually, on that, I haven't asked the standard off the podium question. Your medals, do you have them up on display? Are they just kind of hidden in a sock drawer? Like, what do you do with the Olympic medals?
Right now they're just in the library, just in their original boxes. I'm doing quite a bit of events like this summer these days, so I'm actually not carrying my medal in the box because it's a little bit boxy and bulky, and I'm just like putting it. I roll the ribbon and I just put it in the sunglasses, like an Oakley sunglasses like sleeve, and it's just like hanging in there in like a cosmetic bag, like it's really like homemade like thing.
not condoning theft, but I would love it if all of a sudden somebody took, oh, Oakley sunglasses, great, and they pull out like, oh shit, it's an Olympic medal. These aren't sunglasses. Oh well, I'll
It has
return it.
nothing to do with that. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh God, I can't protect my vision from sun glare with those. What purpose is an Olympic gold medal? I feel like sometimes that question can get a bit creepy because it feels like here on Off the Podium we're just trying to steal Olympians' medals. Like, where do you keep it? Is it in your sock drawer? Where do you live? I swear that's not what we're doing. Until you see all the medals that we've hauled over the years. Never mind. Valerie, we like to wrap it up with a set of get to know you questions. You might have answered these because these were given to Canadian athletes ahead of both Rio and Pyeongchang. And if you did answer these questions, they didn't get published on the website. But do you remember, I mean, I'm sure all the media you did in the lead up to all your Olympics, do you ever remember answering a questionnaire that involved drawing at all?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, maybe you didn't do this one. I'm using the questionnaire here we're using for a former teammate of yours, Samuel Girard. So I can compare your answers to him. And if you want to draw, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can draw here a picture of yourself, a picture of one of your teammates, and a picture of your favorite animal. So homework, you can send it in to us afterwards. So don't have to. It's fine.
So you want me to draw now?
Well, I mean, if you want to while you're answering these questions, sure. I don't know if we've ever had someone do it live on air, but if you don't want to do it now, do it afterwards and flick it to me in a message and we can put it up on our social media. So entirely up to you. Entirely up to you.
Yeah,
Samuel's done all right. He's a good
after.
drawer. Yeah, better after.
Okay.
But Samuel's good at drawing. I like his pictures here. But anyway, start with the first question for you today. Your favorite Olympic moment of all time is, and you're allowed to answer your own if you want to.
Oh, do you have any choices now, or?
No, this is you. This is, I mean, I can tell you Samuel's answer, but this is entirely your opinion. No right or wrong answers here.
I would say the gold medal in the men's team pursuit in Vancouver 2010. This is a moment that I saw long track speed skating for the first time, and that I really thought that it was a nice event and to compete, and that put like kind of a seed in my mind of like I would maybe like to do long track one day.
Fantastic. And should mention, your, of course, gold in Beijing was the first time the Canadian women had, of course, won the that event as well. So extra history to add weight to that as well. Sam, by the way, answered men winning 5,000 meter relay at Vancouver. So similar-ish answers. The Vancouver golds, they mean a little bit more. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I think I would like. I feel like it's a classic one, but I feel like I would love to fly, just because I get really impatient, like driving into traffic. Now I just got an electric bike, and like I feel that I never get my way fast enough somewhere because I'm really often like last minute, and I don't like to be late.
There you go. Flying would help with that, I think. Beat all that traffic, essentially. Your favorite sports movie is?
Ooh. I just forgot the title.
You can give me some clues.
You know, like when they do like bobsled in Calgary. Cool Runnings. There we go.
Cool Runnings. Yes. And there's speed skating in Cool Runnings. There's like that montage and you see the speed skaters go past them on the bobsled. So brief.
Yeah, and it's actually like in they filmed the movie, like part of it, or the whole thing in Calgary. And we can see our high performance director just like passing behind. He was an actor in that time when they filmed the movie.
I do know, here's a fun fact for you. Colin, I mentioned before, our co-host, he lives in Winnipeg. And when I first visited him in Winnipeg, they apparently filmed the bar scene at a bar in Winnipeg. And just prior to me visiting him for the first time, they'd knocked the bar down. And I'm like, well, why am I in Winnipeg? I'm only here to see the bar that they filmed Cool Runnings in. And it had gone. So, yeah, that was disappointing. Well, that should have been a landmark in Winnipeg. The Cool Runnings bar. Jeez, what's going on there? Your funniest childhood memory is?
I don't know if it's the funniest, but it's at least like one that I tell often. Do you know that my favorite thing eat, and I think non-officially I'm probably the creator of that thing. I love ham and banana sandwich. And the story is
wow,
that
okay. There's a combination.
yeah, I love sweet and salty, like I was telling
Yeah,
you about my breakfast.
you did. Yeah, you
And
did.
we often say like in the story like about my childhood, like I was really picky as a kid, and like I was often eating like a ham sandwich or a banana sandwich. And at some point, my dad, the legends say that my dad, I asked my dad, "Can you do it both, ham and banana sandwich?" And now it's like that's what I eat when I need something from home, like just comfort food.
Look, I am a advocate for combining foods that shouldn't be combined, so I'm on board. I think that sounds weirdly good. I don't see that being disgusting. Some people right now are probably going, "Oh, that's disgusting," but no, that works. So
So the trick
yeah,
is you need to be lightly toasted
okay,
with butter, ham on both sides, and you kind of trap the banana in thin slices in the middle.
wow.
And like you don't want your bread to be too crispy or too thick. Like you need like the classic club sandwich bread, like a square, like nothing fancy, just like
Have you thought about a restaurant? Like, I mean, just you could sell. Like going back to my point about poutine. At one point, somebody in Quebec was like, "Let's put cheese curds and gravy on fries," and it took the world by storm. This could be the next poutine from Quebec, Valerie. Come on.
okay, this is a really official podcast, so please call me when you do use that
Yes,
idea.
yes, exactly. People listening right now, and that is going to take off. It's going to be massive. You watch this space. Your favorite pump up song is?
Um, it's high hopes from
Oh,
I forgot
yeah. Do I think I
that.
think I know what you're talking about?
Yes, you probably know it's like super popular,
Yeah.
and then you can cut on the montage. Like
Yep. Yep. Yep.
me, uh, my favorite pump up question song.
Yep.
Ask me again.
All
I'm
right,
losing
let's
it.
try
I'm
that
losing
again.
my English.
Yeah. I'll try and speak French to you right now, Valerie, but I mean, I haven't done it in about 20 years. Your favorite pump up song is?
Uh, it's High Hopes from
Oh.
Panic at the Disco. Yeah,
Oh, wow. That's a shocking one. I could have never guessed you would have answered that. No, I
but it
definitely know
really
what you're talking
practiced
about.
also my H
Ha.
before my words. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Things that I guess growing up speaking English, I don't probably know what you've got to do for that pronunciation side of things. Whereas my French,
Yeah,
like
it's
I mean,
hard.
geez, I couldn't even imagine to try now. The most recent TV show you binge watched is?
Virgin River.
How did you find it?
Um, just on Netflix, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I
Nice.
just
And
like
you,
it's easy to watch, and
yep. And you enjoyed it?
it yeah, I enjoy it. It just
Good.
yeah, it's just like you turn your brain off and you just like watch it. And right now with my fiance, we're watching How I Met Your Mother. I
Right.
watched it years ago, but now we're just like rewatching it, and now
Well, I
I
mean,
understand English a little bit better, so it's great.
I was going to say, without trying to spoil the ending, do you remember the ending of How I Met Your Mother? And did you
No, I
enjoy the
don't.
ending? Okay, all right. Well, I won't spoil it for you then. All right, never
Yeah,
mind.
no, don't say it. I
We'll
don't.
skip that question. If you weren't an athlete, what would you be?
I think I would love to be a chef.
Well, I mean, with your culinary skills that we're discovering in this interview, I think that's a given, right?
No, yeah, I think because when I was younger, my fun fact again, that's probably why I was eating ham or banana sandwich. My parents were not really eating like nothing fancy, it was always like basic stuff. And but hey, like don't get me wrong, I always got fed like really well. But
I'm glad. It's
uh
good. I hope your mum and dad
but when
listen to
I
this interview, by the way. I'm sure they're going to love it.
oh, she knows. I always like say things about her.
Hi, mum. Hi, dad.
And she doesn't understand English, so it's perfect.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sweet. Well, say what you want. There you go. All right.
And when I moved to Montreal, when I was 17, I kind of discover a whole new world of food of that I never tried before, and I sign up in school to do my classes as a dietitian, and I just loved cooking, just loved creating menus, and but I ended up like doing my internship and finding out that that's not what I wanted to do. But I think it's partly also probably because I was an athlete and just like don't have the time to. It was probably just for my own interest of like discovering food other than just like spending time in the kitchen.
Well, just saying, Valerie, Italy has very good food. So you might have an event in a few years potentially you could go to that could help with that. Just saying, just putting it out there into the universe. Your favorite vacation spot is?
Just along a beach. I just like really love to be in the warm. But I went to Hawaii a couple of years ago, and it was beautiful. Just rented a nice Airbnb and just stayed on the North Shore.
Yeah, always avoiding the snow and the cold as whenever you can. Obviously,
as much as
generally
I can.
works.
Yeah.
What is something people usually describe you as?
What's the word? One of my best friends. Nah, I don't know if I can say that.
You can say anything on this show. This is off the podium.
No, I would need the approval of my boyfriend upstairs. I don't know if it's, sometimes I just feel that sometimes I interpret like my interpretation of things is like a little bit different in like the English word, and it's like no, you should not, no, you should not do that.
You can always say it in French, and then we can just have our French speakers probably understand. I can just sit here going, oh, yep, that's completely fine.
No, but I think I'm just gonna look at the translation here because
this is the first time I've ever had somebody want to translate something on this show. This is gold. I love this. This needs to happen more often.
They say that I'm a gluten.
A gluten. Okay.
Yeah. Is that? Can you say that? That you love food, like you're just like eating a lot.
Oh, right. Okay. A glutton.
Oh, that was my pronunciation.
Come on, Valerie. Jesus, you're nearly there. You're nearly there. I was about to say a gluten. That's a new one, but a glutton. Okay, that works.
Oh,
that works.
I'm gonna be so embarrassed watching that again.
Don't worry. This will be played a lot now that we've gotten this far with it. Love that. Okay. Nothing wrong with a glutton. Glutton's fine. Glutton's a good thing to be. Let's just say that. I'm going to call it a gluten, though. That's it sounds more proper. Being a gluten for punishment. That works. I feel weird asking you this question because you've actually changed sports in the Olympics. But again, the third one, if you could be an Olympian in any sport other than your own, what would it be?
Diving.
We knew the answer to that.
Or mountain biking.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
Yeah. Love watching that sport. It's amazing. Looks fun.
You got time. Again, you got time. You can change. Your guilty pleasure. Well, I mean, is your guilty pleasure ham and banana sandwiches? I mean, do you have another guilty pleasure?
I love chips.
Chips. Oh, yes.
Don't bring or leave chips in my house. Like I'm gonna finish them, and I always get frustrated after.
What flavor? Like, because I mean, living in Canada, you guys have got some great chip flavors in Canada. So, I mean, you got plenty to choose from. Yeah,
I think classic barbecue. Just like,
yes.
Like recently, we got like spicy ketchup. It was really good.
Colin's mentioned that a few times. He's talked up the spicy ketchup. So I don't think they quite had that when I was living there. But yeah, I mean, you can't go past ketchup. And what's it? Is it the all seasoned or the all dressed chips or whatever they're called? They're kind of a good flavor as well. So, yeah, Australia's got some catching up to do, I think, when it comes to those flavors. Valerie, before I let you go, people want to follow your journey in the lead up to Milan and everywhere else in between. Social media, where can people check out what you're up to?
I'm mostly active on Instagram at VALE Val 077. And
is that a James Bond reference? Are you doing that for the Bond love? Or?
I tried, but it was already taken, so I had to take something else.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm also on Facebook, and I have my website, valeriemaltais.ca.
And TikTok? I'm always asking the additional TikTok question. Are you on there yet
No,
or no? Okay.
no,
Not quite.
sorry,
I think you need to go there
no.
with the ham and the banana sandwiches. That would take off on TikTok. Come on. Olympic,
Yeah,
four-time Olympian. Here's a nutritional value on TikTok. Do it.
I'll think about it. I'll
Yeah,
think about it.
you could call it like I'm a gluten for ham and banana or something like that. Like 007. Connect it all. Like I'm seeing this. It works
Oh,
out
you're giving
perfectly.
me good ideas. Yeah.
You're welcome. You are
I'll
absolutely
write
welcome.
that down.
Please do. When you're drawing, write it down. Keep the list going. It's ever flowing. Valerie, this has
Yeah.
been such a great time learning about your journey and everything else. Such a fascinating insight into your career, a history-making career, and we look forward to seeing you continue that on, whether it be in diving, hockey, mountain biking, or I guess long track speed skating in the future on the Olympics.
Thank you very much. It was really fun.